All right, all right. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I got a special guest with me today. It's Lord Brunson. We're about to talk some Eagles talk, and I have one third of the Eagles live postgame show. Sideline phenom. Devan Kaney is here with us today, and we're going to talk about, just the state of the Philadelphia Eagles and, how we're all feeling, after a win. As she stated before the video, a win can change the moods and the hearts and minds of everybody. So, we're going to get into it. But real quick before we do, this video was brought to you by Manscaped. Make sure you tap in. The holidays are coming up. Make sure you go ahead and grab your lawnmower 3.0s, 4.0s. Get your gifts ready. Use code Brunson. Save 20% off. Get the free shipping. And the free shipping, I fought for that for you guys. So, Devin, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, like you were just saying, it's sad how much an Eagles win can affect my mental health throughout the rest of the week. So can't complain here, positive vibes only.
Yeah, I agree. And, we saw some positives. Speaking of positive vibes, we saw some real positives over the last, couple of weeks of Eagles football. And I just want to get your thoughts on a few things. So, first, what's your overall thoughts right now on the season as a whole? I mean, you can start from the beginning to where we are now. Like, how do you feel? Like, what's your thoughts right now?
An emotional roller coaster. It's hard to have, one comprehensive thought. And I'm curious to hear what, if you have one, because it's not the type of season I think everyone can agree where you can say, oh, it's good, or, oh, it's terrible, it's a loss. I think going into this season, we all had to temper our expectations. No one expected us to be a Super Bowl team this year. We have not just a new head coach, entirely new coaching staff. Jalen Hurts only in his second season, first season as official QB number one. Lots of young players, lots of promising rookies like Devontae Smith. So I think it's been a lot of, wait and see. And I think the win over the Falcons in week one kind of set everyone's expectations a little bit higher or surprised people. There have been some really embarrassing, terrible games. I'm not going to lie. And I think that's why, this week it's nice to ride this win because it was a good, clean, satisfying win where, over the Lions, it's okay, but it's the Lions. So this season, I think we're learning a lot about the Eagles' identity because they're really still trying to find it themselves, I think. And I'm just really, really happy, as you mentioned, that we're finally starting to see some improvement and some adjustments.
Yeah, I agree. So, I feel confused, honestly,
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's like looking at two teams at this point. The first
Yeah.
half of the season, we come out thinking we have Joe Montana in his prime. We're just throwing the ball all over the place. Now we fast forward to now, we're just this new team that seems to be understanding that running the ball is important. I do think we're running the ball a little too much at times, but I like it. It's working. I'm
Mm.
just confused. I look at this coaching staff and I look at the group of players that we have, and I just get this sense that we're just now figuring out where to put the proper pieces, and
Mm.
and we're figuring out as in terms of X and O's where guys need to be. And I don't think it's too late. I think we're actually figuring it out at the right time. I'm just thankful that we're not going back to what didn't work on the offensive side of the ball, at least at first. So
Yeah.
that brings me to my next question. What's your thoughts on the coaching staff? You had a really interesting tweet that I saw. I think it
Yeah.
was
I'm
the
getting
other day.
attacked for it.
Oh, listen, that happens to me all the time. Listen, so I was like, oh, she's getting attacked. I'm getting attacked. We're buddies now. But yeah,
Yeah.
what do you think about the coaching staff? I don't want to dive too deep into the coaching staff per se. Offensive coordinator and
Mm.
defensive coordinator. What do you think?
It's funny because I feel like Shane Steichen's name has rarely come up, whereas Jonathan Gannon's name is brought up every single day, especially in our post game show, in every single show. Um, Again, I think it goes back to confusing because for a while we were all upset with Nick Sirianni. He didn't seem to have a game plan. He just was blatantly not running the ball. And it seems like he's finally learning, and I think he's done really well. And when I mentioned, we want to see improvements and adjustments, because for me this season, that's really all I'm asking for at this point. I'm seeing that from Nick Sirianni. For a while, I was not seeing anything from Jonathan Gannon, but I also wasn't sure if it was him or if it was his lack of players or personnel. We had Brandon Graham on our show, and he said himself Jonathan. He loves Jonathan Gannon and his scheme and his philosophy, but he just doesn't have the talent he needs right now. But then I think it was after last week's game when I finally hit my breaking point and lost all faith in Jonathan Gannon, because his game plan just wasn't making sense to me. Now, I'm not talking about the Broncos game. I did like what I saw from the Broncos game. You mentioned the tweet that a lot of people seem to agree with, but I'm also getting attacked by others where I said I'm just not letting him off the hook yet, because we saw him. He did it in the game against the Lions as well, where he did finally make those adjustments. He owned the blitz. He played to our defensive players' strengths. But then the next week, he just went back to his, stop the big play, basically be a passive defense scheme. And I just don't think that works. I think even if you don't have the players, the personnel, you create your game plan based on the talent that you have. If you have guys like Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave coming out in press conferences and saying, hey, I'm not the defensive coordinator, then I think that's an issue. Your players clearly aren't vibing with whatever scheme or lack thereof that you're putting out there. I will also say, and I'm sorry, I know this is a really long answer, but
No.
I have an Eagles podcast, Believe in Eagles, and I had Bobby Taylor on, who was an all-pro cornerback back, with Ike Reese, Brian Dawkins, under Jim Johnson, and getting his philosophy on the defense kind of set off some alarms for me, and that's also why I'm still not convinced that Gannon is the guy. He basically said he watches every game without sound because that's what he's used to. And he watches the guy's body language, especially on defense. And he said under Jim Johnson, they would communicate all the time. And they'd also communicate with Jim, before games. They'd watch tape. And then every Friday, he said they'd submit, what kind of plays they thought would work against their opposing team. And he said when he watches the Eagles now under Jonathan Gannon, he watches their body language. He sees no communication, no adjustments. If they're going to run, if the other team's going to run the ball, throw the ball, he's not seeing anyone talking to each other. And that's a really big issue to me. And Bobby Taylor also seemed to think so. So that's why Jonathan Gannon, I'm definitely not sold on. I do like what I'm seeing from Nick Sirianni recently.
I think we both agree on Nick Sirianni. Now, I can take it a little step further with Jonathan Gannon. You might not be sold, but I'm possibly done. I'm possibly done because I think I might be done already because I'm seeing a pattern, and the pattern is crazy to me. Being as though you talked to, Bobby Teller, who's basically a legend in Philly, and he was able to give you that insight. But I'm seeing a different pattern that I might be the only one that really probably diagnosed this, I think. The quarterbacks that we played, Justin Herbert, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, Patrick Mahomes, there's one more, Derek Carr. I think those are guys that he just respects. He respects them so much that he's afraid of the deep ball, and he'll have guys dropping, 7 yards off. With the other quarterbacks we played, he blitzed and he was very aggressive. He didn't respect them as much. In my opinion, I think that's what it boiled down to, because the guys I just named were able to complete 80%, or above in the completion percentage department. And the other guys he just thought were probably just mid-tier guys or journeymen, and he was able to attack them differently. I think a good defensive coordinator has to have the same level of respect for every player. Either you're going to attack them and make it difficult for them, but you're not going to just lay down and let elite passers have their way underneath. That's a no-no. So what happens when we play guys we played the cream of the crop basically this year, and we knew what we were going to get from them. It kind of makes me comfortable moving forward with the rest of the schedule because there's not a lot of world beaters at quarterback that we play left. I mean, we got Dak one more time, but the league is made up of passing quarterbacks who are dominant in their profession. I think he needs to be aggressive with everybody across the board because, a few of these Eagles games, we absolutely just laid down and just let great passers do what they wanted to do to us. I mean, 80% completion percentage is ridiculously high. He's about to break records in a negative way, and it's just, we can't go for that, man. Maybe something will click in the second half of the season, but I'm not impressed at all with Jonathan Gannon. Nick Sirianni, on the other hand, I gotta admit, man, he kind of winning me over. He's kind of winning me over because he's having a team play, a physical style of football that beats up and wears down other teams. And
Hmm.
I can respect that from a guy who had his struggles and learned and implemented something new that's looking fun, and guys are having a good time. So I think
Yeah.
we can agree on that one. We can agree on that.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing, right? Like Jonathan Gannon, and I almost agree with you in that I'm done. It's but after last week's after the Chargers game, I was like, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah.
I think people I'm in no way going to say, "Oh yeah, he's great" after one game against the Broncos, and that was what my quote from the post game show that I'm getting attacked for on Twitter was about. But I think you just summed it up perfectly where like we're seeing adjustments and changes from Nick Sirianni where Jonathan Gannon, I just don't understand how you and Bobby Taylor even said this, how you watch back not just the Chargers game, but like any game and don't make any changes. Like
Yeah.
it's bizarre and it makes no sense. So I'm almost out. I'm 90% out the door on Jonathan Gannon, I'd
Yeah,
say.
and the bigger thing for me is we saw the two games prior that the Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert played. We saw those games and
Yeah.
how teams gave him fits. We just let
Hmm.
him off the hook. I mean, he
Hmm.
came into the game 50% completion percentage out of the last two, and we just went back like, hey, we just want your autograph. You're a star here. Let's just make it easy as possible for you. And I was just so irritated with that. I was done after the
Yeah.
Chargers game, so the Broncos
Yeah.
game means nothing to me. Slay saved the defense, in my opinion,
Hmm.
and yeah, he got to show me better, man.
Yeah.
So we talk about Sirianni and him running the ball. Now, Miles Sanders should be back this week. What do you think happens with this running back room? Do you want to see a change, or would you keep it exactly the same? I'll let you go because I think my answer might shock you on this one.
Oh boy, I want to keep everyone. I think I want to have it stay the same because I'm the same as in what it was against the Broncos with Jordan Howard, who's been playing incredibly. And now, when I say this, like I think Miles Sanders is still running back number one. Like he's incredible. I'm not saying that he should be benched. I'm saying I think if we're going to continue running the ball as much as we have been, I see no issue in keeping all four of them. Four,
Mhm.
right? Yeah. Bad at math.
Yes,
Um,
for
I, Jordan Howard, his what he's been contributing to our offense has been unreal. Boston Scott, I'm afraid. I think if someone were to be sad, it definitely would be Boston Scott. But I think that's unfortunate because he contributes so much. Kenny Gainwell, I know, has kind of taken a back seat because he had that one mistake. I forget what game it was in. He had a fumble, and I feel like since then they kind of stopped giving him the ball as much. But I do think that when he does make the play, he's a very valuable asset to our offense. So for me, I'm like, why not keep everyone? I don't think it has to be an either or situation. I hope Miles Sanders can come out and do what he does best. Now that we're finally running the ball, I think it's just horribly ironic for him that as soon as he gets injured, all of a sudden Nick Sirianni's like run happy. But I think there's an easy solution here. But now I'm scared to hear your answer.
I mean, it's not too much far off of what you just said. I feel like you can keep all four of them, but
Yeah,
somebody would have to be benched. It'll probably be somebody from another position group. Most likely, well, it will be. You can keep all four of them,
bench
but
one of the 500 cornerbacks that we have.
exactly. Very well put. So I feel like that Jordan Howard should be running back one. I just feel like that.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like that with our Jordan Howard's not a slouch at all. I mean, you're talking about a guy
No.
who's 26, only 2 years older than Miles Sanders, multiple
Yeah.
1,000-yard rushing seasons in Chicago.
Mm,
At the time when he came to us the first time, I think it was only two other running backs that had more rushing yards than him in the league since he's been in the league, Zeke and Todd Gurley. So he was an elite runner at one point. He got the
mm,
fresh wheels. He doesn't get injured often. And our style that we play with our offensive line, those guys when they get out there and hit and create holes, it's just tailored for Jordan Howard to get behind
mm,
those guys and move piles. Miles Sanders, in my opinion, has a tendency to sometimes get happy feet, dance around a little bit instead of being a one cut back and just hitting the hole like Boston Scott does.
mm.
I like the three running backs, four if you want to add Kenny Gainwell. I like all four of the running backs, but I think we'll get the most out of the way we're running the ball with the trio of Jordan Howard being one, Miles Sanders being two, and Boston Scott being three. I just think Jordan Howard should be the lead back the rest of the way.
I agree. And on our post game show, our Eagles insider, John McMullen, said that he thinks Boston Scott would be the one to be benched if that were the case. And I agree with you. I think that those three, I think if you're going to bench someone, it should be Kenny Gainwell. Unfortunately, like I think he's a great player, but out of those four, they're all incredible.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you in that Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders should definitely be the one and two.
Mm-hmm.
I still it was such a head scratcher to me, and I know so many other people when Jordan Howard was on the practice squad. So I'm glad that they've pulled him up, and hopefully he stays on the roster.
Yeah, I agree. I think keeping all four of them would be in our best interest simply because
Mm-hmm.
with how much we're running the ball, somebody's going to get nicked up. And it's just going to be
Yeah.
great for us to have all four of them active and warmed up and used to regular contact hits instead of being on the practice squad. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So this is one of my favorite questions that I have for you right now. This has got to be the best one.
Oh boy.
So so Jalen Hurts, what do you
Mm.
think about Jalen Hurts this season?
Can I just show the sweatshirt I'm wearing?
Oh, okay.
I am a big Jalen Hurts supporter, even when he wasn't playing well, even though I know he's been a little bit hot and cold. I feel very strongly. Look, am I going to come out and say, is Jalen Hurts a franchise quarterback? Is he going to be the guy for the next 10 seasons? No, I have no idea. I don't think anyone knows that.
Yeah.
I think he shows a lot of promise. Yes, he has some issues sometimes with accuracy. We get it. I thought he played incredibly against the Broncos. And when he has those moments, and I forget what quarter the drive was in against the Chargers, where he just put it all out on the line. When he did that, he dove to get the third down.
Yeah.
His leadership skills, his mentality, when he's on, he's on. I think he shows so much promise. Keep in mind, this is his first year as a starting quarterback. And I say this all because I feel so strongly. I know we all saw that goofy video of Howie Roseman watching Kenny Pickett with the binoculars this past week. And I feel very, very strongly that we do not draft another quarterback because I don't think Philadelphia as a whole, as a society, can handle another quarterback controversy. B, I don't think any of the quarterbacks in this year's draft are even worth that. I think we need to, and I feel the same way with Nick Sirianni. Like, I think we need to just stick with them, be patient, keep in mind that everyone is still learning on this team. We're still building our brand, building our identity. And because of that, I think we just stick with Jalen Hurts. Yeah, he's going to have bad games. He's so young. I've liked what I've seen from him. And my favorite thing about Jalen Hurts is his mentality and his leadership. He never seems to get rattled like we so often saw from Carson Wentz. And, even if he has bad games, he's not throwing that many interceptions. And if he does, they're not in the red zone like I feel like they always were with Carson Wentz or other quarterbacks that we've used. I feel like we've gone through so many quarterbacks in the last 5 seasons. So yeah, long answer there, but I'm pro Jalen Hurts. Is he a franchise quarterback? No, but I don't think that we all need to be making that prediction right now. I think we stick with him throughout the rest of the season and hopefully through next season.
When I think about Jalen Hurts, I don't know what happened. I was the biggest Carson Wentz fan, Devan. I'm telling you, it wasn't an obsession. It was bad though. Like I thought he could do no wrong. I was hurt.
Really?
I was hurt when they let him go. I was super, super hurt. But I saw a game from Jalen Hurts against the Saints. I wasn't sold last season. Then I see the Chargers. Then I see the Cardinals game, and then something just came over me. I'm like, this dude is a leader. And I might have been confused on what a leader was at the quarterback position. But when I saw that Cardinals game, even though we lost, I was like, this dude was a leader. And then I did a complete 360. Complete 360. I even rebranded my merchandise. Like you see these hats, these Hurt season hats. You see these hats in the stadium in every game. Away games, home games. I rebranded everything. I'm like, this is something about the kid. And then this season just confirmed it for me. The way that he can, stay focused and stay poised, especially when things aren't going well. He always says the right thing. He's never rattled. He doesn't feel like he can't do it. Just the self-belief alone in himself is kind of what, made me a fan of Jalen Hurts. And then I see him developing the way that he's developing. Like, if you don't think he got better over the last 3 games, then you just don't want to give the kid credit at this point. Then I see the way that he's developing. I see the chemistry that he's, getting with Devontae Smith, and I can really see something special blooming. I think we would actually be, crazy at this point to even be looking at a quarterback, especially with one of our first round picks. I think Jalen Hurts is the guy right now. Like I said, I
Mm-hmm.
can't say about 10 years, like you just said, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but right now I think Jalen Hurts is your best shot. And
Mm.
the strides that he's making in the passing game and knowing when to use his legs, I think you got a true dual threat on your hands. You really could have the next Russell Wilson if you're patient.
I fully agree. And also, speaking of the draft, and I don't know if we're going to go into this in a bit, but like I think all those early picks should be used on young defensive talent, especially linebackers.
Mhm.
But keep in mind what also Jalen Hurts is going through, and not just is he, he has all this pressure as his second season as a quarterback. He's fully aware of the fact that he is fighting for his job and fighting for his position and competing against first round picks in this upcoming draft. So then I know it's part of Howie Roseman's job, but like I highly doubt Jalen Hurts didn't see that Howie Roseman's out there scouting another quarterback. And to just remain that calm and cool under that much pressure, not just during a game, but also just knowing that your job is on the line every single game, it's really impressive to me. So I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan.
Yeah, I agree. Like, how would either one of us feel if, our superiors or supervisors brought
Right.
somebody in to do the exact same job that we do, or put out
Mm-hmm.
a job listing on exactly what we do? Like, hey, I'm here too. And for him to come out against the Denver Broncos with all those rumors coming around and basically have a flawless first half. If Quez Watkins catches that touchdown pass, the game probably is over. It's
Yeah.
over. Yes, three touchdown passes and a half if that happens, over 200 passing yards. For him to come out and perform like that and be a big
Mm-hmm.
part of the reason why the game was out of reach for Denver is just remarkable in itself. I didn't really have anything about the draft, but I agree with you. I really picks at least to get guys that can fit the scheme that Gannon is putting out there. At least if you're going to keep John Gannon, get some guys that can play that scheme. And stop being cheap and stop looking for guys in free agency, guys who just want to get the veteran minimum. Get some young guys that we could pay later on down the line. So,
Mm-hmm.
one of my last questions:
Okay.
expectations for the rest of the season.
You know what?
Expectations. Technically, right now, before you go, we're in the hunt. before you
We
answer that,
are.
right,
We
right. And
are.
it actually feels good. It feels good to be in the hunt. So, what's your expectations for the rest of the season, Devin?
It does feel good to not be, completely hopeless. I
Mhm.
also think, going back to your first question about my thoughts on this Eagles season, I think for a young team that's learning and growing, we couldn't have asked for a stranger schedule, right? Like we have the hardest teams up front. It really sucks that we haven't won a game at home yet. So hopefully we can do that this Sunday. But I think we're lucky and unlucky in that it seems like we have a fairly easy schedule. I think what was it ranked actually the easiest, but in my opinion, fairly easy
Yeah.
moving forward. But they are also mostly divisional games. Like we haven't played Washington football team yet, who just beat the Bucks. We haven't played the Giants, who did beat the Raiders, who crushed us. Like this, I feel like this is the first NFL season in recent memory where I feel like it's wide open still. Like anything could happen at any week. It's weird. And that's why it's really hard for me to pick this. Like if the Eagles stay hot and they play like they did against the Broncos, then yeah, absolutely. I think there's a shot. I think the Cowboys probably scare me the most of anyone because I also think I'm still like emotionally, spiritually scarred from that Monday Night Football
From
game.
week
That was just
three.
like, that was like the worst thing I've ever watched. It was so painful. So hopefully we can get some redemption against Dallas. But I do think if we come out and play and have the same and tailor our game plans like we did against the Broncos, and we stay healthy, especially our offensive line, but everyone stays healthy, then yeah, injuries definitely worry me though. So we'll see. I don't want to jinx it by saying that, but it is nice, like I said, to have hope, and I do have hope. I would love to be pleasantly surprised the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm pretty hopeful. I
Mm-hmm.
guess we're in the same boat. I'm really, really hopeful for the rest of the season. You did bring up a good point about the rest of the division. They're also finding out who they are. They've beat some pretty
Mm-hmm.
good teams, the Giants and the Washington football team. Dallas has been good the whole season, pretty much, but we're used to that. I'm expecting that collapse in a couple weeks, but yeah, we're used to Dallas being good, around this time. But yeah, man, it's kind of scary when you think about predicting what can actually happen, but
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like we will be much better the rest of the season. These division games are going to be tough. And, I would like to see us in a wild card position. We already got 3 picks. No need in tanking. Go out there and try to
Mhm.
win, as many as you can.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm hopeful for it, man. You got anything else coming up this week?
No, maybe a few other podcast appearances, my own podcast, but otherwise, nothing.
Oh, where can we find your podcast and all that stuff? I'll have the links to the descriptions in this video for everybody so you can know where Devan Kaney is, but please say it here.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter in this handle. Tune into our live post game show right after the clock hits zero on every Eagles game. It's myself, Derek Gunn, Mark Farzetta. That airs on the Jacob Media YouTube channel as well as 6abc.com. And then I host the Believe in Eagles podcast every week, and you can find that on Spotify or wherever you get your pods.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Devan.
Of
Hopefully,
course.
next time when we talk, we're talking about a Saints win. I can't
We'll
wait,
see.
and thank you so much, man. Thank you guys for
Yeah.
tuning in. This is Lord Brunson checking out with Devan Kaney. Make sure you follow her at Devan_Kaney on Twitter, and we will see you guys.